Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fearless Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Lynn, and today I'm very happy to have my new friend, Wojtek, on. Hey Wojtek, welcome.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
How did I do on your name?
You
We
did
practiced.
wonderful.
Thank
We
you.
practiced. I've explained the pronunciation to you, and you nailed it.
Thank you. That's really good to hear. It's like those last minute pressure points. The stage pressure is working. Okay, we had a great episode on your podcast actually, and we got connected through Instagram because we
Yeah, that's
both
right.
have affiliation with Code Arts. I know you've taught some workshops at the Code Arts Institute in Rotterdam, where I
Yeah.
am on faculty for entrepreneurship. So yeah, you have some great content around life is like as a musician. You're a guitarist, composer. You're in the jazz world. You're also currently touring. You're in Canada right now.
That's right.
Shout out to the Canadians listening. If you just intro to our audience would be great.
I'm originally from Poland, and I picked up the guitar when I was around 14 years old, and I actually studied classical music for a very long time, and I know quite a bit about that world. And I'm really, happy to see you coming from a classical world. I'm really happy to see people from that community coming out and being more active on social media and promoting themselves. Well, 20 years ago, or it's even longer, 30 years ago, when I started playing, that was non-existing, and building a career in the classical music industry is very challenging. So I know that world a little bit. And but at some point, I transitioned into playing more popular music, let's call it that, for lack of a better word, and getting into jazz. And at some point, after 10 years of studying classical music, when it was time to choose what I'm going to do, what I'm going to study, I decided to go into the jazz direction. And that's what actually brought me to Holland, where I moved from Poland in 2004 and studied at the conservatory in The Hague over there.
Nice.
Yeah, I stayed for almost 20 years. I lived in Holland. And during my studies, I started my group, which is the Wojtek Justyna Trio, which I have been playing with and touring around the world
Wait, we have to say
for.
how that's spelled because it's literally TREE-O, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Actually,
okay.
it's all one word. Trio. So
Oh,
TREEOH exclamation point.
no way. There's an
Yes,
exclamation point in it.
there's even an exclamation. But it's like trio.
I
Who
thought
would
you were just being
ever?
like enthusiastic in your Instagram bio. Okay, that is cool. That's fun.
Yeah. So it's it came from. It started as a trio, and like in jazz music, there's the John Scofield trio, there's the Larry Goldings trio, whatever. And I kind of followed in that line, but I wanted to be a bit different, so I decided to spell a trio in a phonetic way. I kind of always had this idea, because I was always interested in a lot of different musical genres, and also being in the pop world, and guitar is also linked to rock music. So I have a very broad musical background and played a lot of different styles, and I always thought that I was going to be a kind of a session musician, and playing behind different artists, and that's how I would make my money, and then do kind of my jazz thing, my own music on the side. But at a certain point, I really decided to dive in 100% into my own music, into building my band with my friends who I play with since our studies. And in the past 10 years, we've released 3 albums and been on tour literally worldwide. We've been to India, we've been to South Korea, we've been to Canada, we've been all over Europe, and I hope to continue doing that for the coming years, and recording new music, releasing new music, and building a business around that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and your all of your stuff is on Spotify. I'm seeing this.
Yes, all the stuff is on Spotify, and of course all the social media, Instagram, Facebook. That's where I'm most present. And of course, I don't know if people still go to websites these days, but everything is on my website.
I'm just reading the
So
funk on the bottom, world jazz on top. I think that's a really
that's
cool
it.
branding
That's
tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you also teach these workshops. I mean, I'm right after this. I'm going to go listen to your funky band. But I mean, we connected because you do a lot of content and talking head content, and you're out in the
Yeah.
forest and you're sharing ideas as a musician. So I'd love to know, like, what's your message? Who are you trying to reach? Like, what do you want to see changing in the music industry?
We hear now that, yeah, you got to get on social media, right? The social media is the way to build your brand and grow as an artist, and that's really the channel right now for reaching people. And I think as you know, and I'm sure you experienced that yourself, and also through your community, everyone struggles with that. You know, I started my professional career almost 25 years ago, so I've really, you know, I started when there was no social media. You know, I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that we used to go to clubs to ask for gigs. You know, and then I remember that literally not having a cell phone and just calling people on a landline. So I've seen also the development, you know, coming from that up until now, where everything is online, everything is on social media. And I find it's a great tool for building your brand, promoting yourself, but also a way of artistic expression. And there's always this kind of insecurity linked to social media and putting yourself out there, and promoting yourself and saying whatever it is you want to say, or playing a little bit of music, or sharing stuff from your life or from your concerts, performances, whatever it is. So I'm like everyone in the process of overcoming that, and you know, finding ways to encourage people, and share my musical journey with them, and sharing my ideas around that, sharing my experiences. And you know, through building my own career for the past, you know, I think what I see from people that I talk to, and my students, and people that I coach, is that there's this kind of thing that, oh, people are not watching my stuff, and people are not answering my emails, I cannot get any gigs. But you know, the thing is that we're all on the same boat, and I think we are all struggling with the same thing. I struggle to pick up the phone and say something. I struggle to share stuff that I play, or whatever, or sharing the music. We all have these challenges, and we should encourage and support each other in overcoming that and putting ourselves out there, you know?
Mm-hmm. I find your content very relatable. I think you come across as you are. Like if I talk to you
Mm,
now, it's like you are exactly as I expect from your content. You do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. You're doing stuff from the road. You're doing backstage stuff.
yeah.
Why is it important for you? So what I wanted to say is I'm surprised to hear that you say that it's a challenge for you, because to me it looks very organic. It looks like you're sharing naturally. So tell me a little bit more about this internal wrestling that you have, because I know that can speak to a lot of people listening who are feeling the same way.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And I think this really also nails the point that I think is important for social media. Or, I mean, it's just about being who you are, you know.
Mm,
And it's, you know, social media, real life, it's now so connected that it's almost becoming one thing. And there's this thing that there's this insecurity, and that we have to, that there is some kind of expectation from others, or maybe, you know, it's actually the things that we think people are expecting of us is more of a mirror of yourself, you know, and
mm,
your own insecurities. It's easiest to be yourself, but it's also very difficult, you know. It's difficult to cross that barrier. And um I so I and it's like you're thinking, okay, what can I share? What is valuable? What is cool? Whatever. I just try to, you know, just push myself into being, okay, I'm backstage, I'm gonna say a few words. Or these little posts that I do every day when I'm back home. I have a morning routine which involves a morning walk. That has become a way for me to just starting my day on a good note, and
mm-hmm.
being active. You know, like the stuff that I think everyone that I talk to has the same challenges. You know, we want to exercise, we want to find time to practice, we want to find time for family, we want to find time to do business, we want to find time for social media, and it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
And you know, I go for a walk in the morning just to kind of clear my mind, and it's kind of a walking meditation for me. There's no real purpose in that except for me to, you know, of the accountability that I did it. And I
Mm.
said, hey guys, listen, it was tough today to get out of bed, but I'm here. The birds are singing. It's going to be a great day. And I hope, you know, you're facing your challenges as well. So it's actually that these morning posts have just been a way for me to hold myself accountable to people, uh, first of all to myself, but also for people that are out there interested in music, and just kind of, you know, in being a voice of encouragement. And sometimes it's tricky for me, but you know, I just do it, you know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know as musicians, because we don't have this framework of how our day runs every
Totally.
day. Like someone who works a 9 to 5, they have a routine. They have to be at the office by 9. They leave at 8:15. Whatever. They have to have breakfast before that. You can, reverse your day. But for us, it's like, well, we don't have to actually do anything if we don't want to, or unless there's
Correct.
something on the schedule, right?
Yeah.
Like today, this podcast was the first thing I had scheduled on my day. It's 5 p.m.
Right.
So I have the whole day to do whatever I want. And that can be the most crippling thing for creatives, because I've got all these ideas and I've got all this time, but I also have 1 million obligations and text messages coming in. Oh, and then I jump on my phone and now I'm pulled into a loop there. So it's very difficult to navigate. Like, I mean, most of the things we talk about in our membership are like time management and energy management. And I was
Yeah.
telling someone the other day, like, I think for the next 40 years, like, I'm going to wake up at 80 years old and be like, okay, how can I best use my energy today? Like, we're going to be talking about this for the rest of our lives, because this is what we have. These are our resources, time and energy. So how can we
Totally.
best spend to have the most impact? I mean, what I pull from your content is a very positive message. I also want to ask you about like the smiling warrior branding you have
Right.
happening, because I find it very encouraging. I know for me too, whenever I like, first of all, I applaud you. Making a morning post, that's insane to me. Like, I don't appear on camera before 2 p.m. minimum.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
like I don't film in the morning because I need time to process my own thoughts. So the fact that you're like taking your own energy to encourage your audience, I think is really beautiful. So I'd love for you to talk about, like, did you notice an impact on your audience? Did people give you feedback around that? And then if you want to tell us about like the smiling warrior.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Here's another thing I struggle with. I wish I could find the discipline to post more varied content, but I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna start with this daily post. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's other things of me playing and stuff from the road that I try to post. But sometimes there are two things for me. And one thing is, the regular thing. Sometimes I record myself playing. I'm like, no, there I made a mistake. No, it's like the timing is not right. So I have to kind of overcome the insecurity of that. And it's like, people don't care about that. That's all in your head. But I also struggle with that. So I wish I could be doing more of that, and showing also more stuff from the road and being more active in that way to have a more varied content. But sometimes it's so busy on the road, and when you're self-managing yourself, you have to talk to the program, you have to talk to the booker, you have to make sure that there's water on stage. I think 100% of people that I speak to that have these same difficulties of and same struggles as I do. When I moved to Holland, people would ask me, "Oh, Wojtek, what a strange name. Are you a DJ? That's really like it's what a modern name."
Like Avicii.
Yeah, or so, yeah, exactly, something like that. And actually, it's just a very normal, very standard, even old-fashioned Polish name. And people would ask me, "What does it mean?" And I never gave it any thought, but I Googled what my name means, and my name actually means a person who is happy to go to war, or a smiling warrior. So
Wow.
that brand has actually been handed down to me unknowingly by my parents through my name. And
Mm.
funny thing is, it really sums up my character, because I really love challenges, and I'm the
Mm.
most happy when I'm pushing against something, and it's like the struggle, the difficulties, the challenges, and a career choice of being a musician is a challenge in itself. I don't find myself a very talented person. I don't have a natural musical ability, but I just love music, and that love has given me the strength to, overcome these challenges. I was in music school in Poland, and I would just get my ass kicked by the teachers, and they would be like, "Oh, dude, what are you even doing here? Like what do you want? What do you want to do with music? You're not doing great, And I struggle with a lot of those things, but that overcoming has just been a theme of my life. And
Mm.
I think I'm a great example of that hard work beats talent, and that if you love something and if you put in the work, you can really do anything, and you can build your life around the things that you love to do.
Hard work beats talent. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about that a lot. One of the books I use in my curriculum for code arts, actually, entrepreneurship class, is Beyond Talent by Angela
Yeah.
Miles Beaching. You're
I know that book,
familiar?
and
Yeah.
it's that was the book that got me started, or grew my awareness of the fact that the musical abilities is one thing, but there's this whole other skill set that you have to master to be a musician and to be a music entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Anybody listening who hasn't gotten that yet, definitely recommend it. And
Totally.
she came onto the podcast, so get
Oh
that
wow, cool.
episode. Yeah, yeah, she's lovely. Beyond talent. So just talking about everything, like yeah, because there are you can be the most talented musician. I tell this to the students. You can be the most talented musician playing for nobody because you don't know how to build an audience. And I think what you mentioned at the beginning of this episode is like learning to build this fan base. There are challenges with it, but when
Yeah,
we like, I'm a big believer in showing your face on camera. That's why also I think we connected because I watch your talking
yeah,
heads. I
definitely,
love
definitely.
the
Yeah, I mean,
positivity.
I saw your content, and I really loved. I resonated with what you were saying, and I really love the fact. I've been following you for a while, and I've seen you grow in what you do, and also being more and more open about your struggles and difficulties. And it's great to see you also growing in that. And I know that you have a community around what you are doing, and you are a supportive and positive voice within that. So good on you, Michelle. I'm really
Oh,
happy to see your growth as well.
that's so nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, things have grown a lot. I'm a little bit surprised. You know, you're like, you reap what you sow, and we've been sowing for so long. And I say we because Deanna's been, we've been doing TFA for 5 years, even though she's on mat leave right now. And I'm so grateful because we came to this. There's a tipping point, and my vocal coach always used to encourage me with this. He's like, there is a tipping point. Right now, you're just climbing up, 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 but like you will get into the flow. You just have to, and it's that one. It's the next hammer hit that breaks the rock, but you don't know which hammer hit it is, so you have to keep hitting the rock. And
Totally,
that's what
totally.
I'm reminded of a little bit when you say like going into battle smiling, because it's like, yeah, we are fighting for something and we're standing for something that we believe in. We're passionate about what we do. We want to bring change. We want to bring music to audiences, and it costs us everything. I mean, figuring this is, there's no manual for this,
Yeah,
which is why I think community is so important.
definitely.
Share with me a little bit about what you teach and what you mentioned coaching. Like, what's the message that you're bringing?
Well, there's a lot that has to do with the technicalities of just being a musician, and I talk a lot about, first of all, the creative process and creating your music, because I write music, and I've always kind of, also because of the fact that I never consider myself a very good musician, and maybe uh, that's a skill that you develop, so hopefully I'm doing better in that, and it's a life's work to develop your
Yes, it is a
musical
life's work.
skills.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But well, first of all, my inspirations were always musicians who played their own music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, in a way, as much as I love playing classical music, and that was my introduction into music, was playing classical guitar. As much as I like performing the pieces and learning and developing my technique of the instrument, it was always like, there's okay, this is the piece, and you're supposed to play it like that, and then they're checking every note. That didn't really resonate with me. But when I stepped back and see where my inspirations were, they were always with musicians who were writing their own music, and they were performing their own music. So I was like, okay, I want to do that. And then on the other hand, I was like, if I write my own music, nobody's going to beat me in that, because this is my stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm not going to be put up against somebody who performs piece A at this or that tempo. I will be judged kind of based on my own merits. And if there is any natural ability, musical ability that I have, is, I think, to dare to write my own music. And I think I have developed, and I have a bit of a natural knack for that. But I've also developed my own compositional style throughout the years, and that's, for me, the most fun that I have, is creating music. The inspiration, the idea, through how you develop that little seed into a bigger piece of music through recording. And I also talk about, yeah, recording music. So the whole kind of studio process, and also getting into a lot of technical details that also shape the sound of the music that you are creating, through the whole process of releasing and planning tours, promoting your material, promoting the releases that you have coming up. So one of the courses that I am most passionate about is called the creation cycle, which is really takes you from the moment of creation to releasing, to touring, and kind of rinse and repeat and doing that all over again, you know. So everything that goes into um, to the creative and business process of releasing an album or a piece of music and going on tour with that, and all the little details that go into that. And a lot of it is, you know, it's just from writing an email and what needs to be an email, and how much in advance you should reach out, how the whole planning of a release, the whole planning of a tour, and really getting into really technical details that nobody really tells you if you're studying that at school. And it's
Hmm.
stuff that you know, you really have to discover for yourself. And there is basically give a manual for that in my workshops.
So why is this important to you? Like, why have you invested so much time in developing this resource for these people?
It's because of my love of music, you know,
Hmm.
and um, my appreciation of other people's talent. And you know, what I've experienced is that, okay, there were all these people around me, most of them much more talented, and a lot of them, you know, better skills as a musician. And I see them stop doing music. You know, a lot of the
Mm,
people that I studied with have gone on to doing other things and could not find their way within a musical career. I'm sad because of that, because I'm sad that my friends whose music I love, who are talented musicians, great players, who have so much to say and so much to give musically to the world, they have so much beauty to offer. I had these conversations, and there's a lot of them tell me, yeah, but I really don't know how to do this, you know, like I don't, you know, I send an email and nobody answers me. And
yes.
yeah, it costs so much money to make an album. Where am I supposed to get this money? And then life takes over. You
Yep.
make choices, and you know, and the music is still a part of their lives, but it's really on the back burner, and it's become a sort of a hobby. While they could be sharing that with the world and enjoying a musical life, instead of you know, maybe having a different job or choosing a completely different career or giving up music in general, you know. So that
Yep.
has actually been my my inspiration to kind of create a system and create clear steps that in my opinion need to be followed to get you from point A to point B in building your musical career.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're taking time and energy and resources to help others to that they can shine their gifts. I mean, that just speaks volumes about the type of person you are. So I think that's really a beautiful way to use your gift, because I mean, there are two things we can do. Either we can pour all of our time and energy into our own selves, but then it becomes a little bit self-absorbed. I mean, I think somebody recently asked me too, like, why do you do the Fearless Artist? He's like, it's so, it just pours out of you. I'm like, I don't know. I just have to do it. Like, it just, and sometimes I ask myself, like, I'm helping so many musicians like go after their dreams, which means that it's taking away time for me to go after my own dreams. I'm like, wait, where's the balance in this too? You know?
Right.
And so finding that balance, and then it means that I've had to let go of other things and just focus on these two areas of my life. So it's always, as you're saying, a process and discovering, and
Sure.
like, yeah, if you don't know how to do it, sounds like it, you must have a book coming, because you got to write all this down and get it
Well, yeah,
out for
I
the
actually do
world.
have I have a little book where all these ideas are put together,
Okay.
and I just share it with people. So if you go on my Instagram, which I'm sure we will link in the description of this video, and you send me a message asking for my book, which goes together with the workshops that I give, but everything is kind of presented in a clear way. I'm happy to send it to you
Okay, so what should
free.
they DM you? Because this is great. Because I'm gonna do it right now because I need this.
Um,
I want to see this
DM me Creation Cycle, and I'll send
creation
you.
cycle. I love that. Okay, so do you want to spell out your Instagram for us so everybody can go follow you?
Okay, here we go. So WOJTEKJUSTYNA is my Instagram handle, of course, with the @ sign. It's a complicated name. The biggest challenge is figuring out the spelling of that. But let's put a link that's going to be easier, and I'm sure people can find it.
Absolutely, we're gonna put a link. Hey, is there anything else that you wanted to share that I didn't touch on?
You know what? You mentioned the whole story about that we have to create our, you know, our own day in a way, and that there are so
Mm,
many things. And if you go to work, you know, you have a 9 to 5. It's really like, you know, the things are planned out for you, and the tasks are clear. And the thought popped into my mind, linked to, what I had this, like, this podcast is about my my problems in life, and my struggles. But I find that really important, or what has worked for me,
Yeah.
is to, and what I also struggle with is discipline. Being disciplined in your work is absolute key.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
I find, and what I encourage everybody to do, is to really plan. And this is also part of my creation cycle spiel. Uh, Planning for me is just like huge. It's number one, and having a plan for your day, having a plan for your week, having a plan for the month, what you want to achieve in the half year, where you want to be in 3 to 5 years, how you want your life to look in 10 years, is extremely important, and has helped me a lot in just finding a good flow in my work, and in my life.
Mm.
And artists also have this, we're kind of always a bit free spirited, and it's easy for us to get distracted with things. It's easy for us to put things away, because maybe we get into playing or practicing or writing music, and then other things that essentially move our careers forward really take are put into second place or third or fourth place. What has helped me a lot, and I encourage everybody to do, is to really plan your day, and plan the day that you would like to have, the day that has time for yourself, that has time to take care of. Mindfulness is a big thing for me. Of
Mm.
course,
Hmm.
physical activity is a thing. So I try to get those things out in the morning. So again, my morning walk and this little post is a part of that discipline. And then finding time to practice without distractions, putting your phone away, making sure that you keep your chops up, that you're prepared for your concert, you're prepared for the tour that you're doing. Finding time in between that to take a breath, to sit down and maybe have a coffee with a loved one, or connecting with friends, or finding a moment to sit on the balcony in the sun for a little bit, just to take a breather, and then jump into doing business things for a while, and finding your own flow and discipline in that. And then finding time for other things in life, because it's not life is not only work, so that making sure that you're eating properly, that you find time to be here with friends, or maybe to do something fun, to go and see a show, or whatever, is very important. And I try to structure my day that all the kind of elements, the nourishment for my soul and my mind, that are all there, that I have this flow in every day, in every week, and as you mentioned, there are a lot of things that we need to do, and it can be really overwhelming. So putting all these things in little boxes, in little time compartments during the day, where you're only busy with that, limiting the distraction, it really creates a very nice flow throughout the day. And once you get into that, the work just kind of, it all just has a nice flow to it. I think that's the best word. And once you do that for a week, 2, 3 weeks, 3 months, things really start moving forward. The stress levels are low, because you are in a nice flow that gives you the security. Okay, I'm doing all these things, I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of my musicality, I'm taking care of the business, I'm taking care of my relationships. Just for me, creates a very comfortable and relaxed feeling.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, that ties back in really beautifully with what we were talking about at the beginning. Energy management. I know things for me really improved when I got serious about tracking, tracking how much time I put into TFA every week. I use Clockify. Also,
Yeah.
my practicing, I track how many hours a week I'm practicing. And then every Monday morning, I get like an email that's got a summary of like where I spent my time last week that I was tracking. And I've got a system to track my workouts. So, yeah, having these pillars in place can really help you stay, finding this kind of routine
Sure.
through the chaos, especially you know what it's like to be on the road. So I think having these things that you're mentioning, and then also the importance of accountability, that you
Yeah.
have people asking you like, hey, how's it going? Checking in with your projects. I know the producer of my album sent me a text message this morning like, hey, like I was supposed to hear from you. And I'm like, hi, I've been avoiding writing you for
Yeah.
3 weeks now. So yeah, I think that's where the power of accountability really comes
Yeah.
in.
And definitely, kind of goals. I think you should have goals set for you, and it doesn't have to. They don't have to be huge things. Although it's very helpful to know where you're going in a bigger picture. But even if I sit down to practice, what is my goal for this 30 minute of a practice session? What is my goal today? Is it which maybe I have to reach out to? There's some deadlines, or there's certain clubs or festivals that I need to reach out, and I have an hour for that to get those emails out, and really writing it down and then ticking it off, keeping track of where you're doing, and also having that feel, okay, I achieved something, because I have this feeling a lot of the times, okay, I'm doing, but I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I'm not moving forward. But it's
Yeah.
really like saying, okay, but okay, look, I sent this one email, I spent 30 minutes practicing. And journaling is also a big thing for me, of sitting down to bring me closer to where I want to be as a person, as a musician, in my family life, whatever.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Actually, this morning I started off with a question: what are you looking forward to today? And
Yeah,
that's a
that's it.
question that helps me a lot in my own mental state early in the morning. And also, I put it on my Instagram stories for fun, and I got some really nice responses from people. And also, just for me, this conversation was what I was looking forward to. So I just want to say
Awesome.
thank you so
Yeah,
much
for
for
me,
your
for me as well.
your positivity, your energy, what you're bringing to the music world. For everybody listening, if you had an action point for them today that they have to go do right now from what you've shared, what would it be?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you. Write down what you are looking forward to today.
Mm,
In here in Canada, the day has just started. In Europe, it's a bit later, but just think about what you look forward to today. Maybe you're going to have a nice dinner with your family. Maybe you're going to have a show later today. Maybe you're looking forward to watch your favorite episode on Netflix. Really sit down, think about what it is that you're looking forward to. And then when that moment comes, really be aware of it and be like, yeah, this is the thing that I was looking forward to enjoy today. And then really be present with it, sit with it, and really enjoy that, because I think that's super important.
I love that so much. Wojtek, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on the episode. We're gonna put
Get
your
out of here.
socials. We're gonna put your socials in the handle so everyone can go follow you. DM him Creation Cycle. Is that right? And they're gonna
Yeah,
get that book that you're
creation
writing.
cycle, and
Creation Cycle. I already sent you a message. So yeah,
you're
thanks so
gonna
much
get
for
it.
coming on, and we'll hope to see you again in the next one.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for having me, and the best of luck with everything that you're doing.
That's so nice. Thanks.